Some people are praying for marriage, but they are not prepared for it. They want love, companionship, and a godly relationship, but they do not realize that before God brings two people together, He often begins a deep work within each person individually. Christian marriage is more than romance. It is more than attraction. It is a spiritual covenant designed by God Himself. And because of that, preparation matters. Many people think the preparation season is punishment. They wonder why everyone around them seems to be getting married while they are still waiting. But sometimes the waiting season is not rejection. Sometimes it is protection. Sometimes God is using that season to shape your heart, heal your wounds, and transform your character so you can build a healthy Christian marriage instead of entering a relationship that destroys your peace. One of the first signs God may be preparing you for Christian marriage is that He begins healing you emotionally. Suddenly, God starts exposing wounds you tried to ignore. Past heartbreaks begin resurfacing. Emotional pain you buried deep inside comes back to the surface. You begin realizing that some of your reactions, fears, insecurities, and attachment patterns were never healthy. And instead of allowing you to escape those issues through another relationship, God starts dealing with them directly. Because broken people often create broken relationships. God understands that if healing does not happen before marriage, pain can follow you into the marriage. This is why many relationships struggle. Two wounded people enter a covenant expecting each other to fix pain only God can heal. Sometimes God isolates you emotionally before He connects you relationally. You may lose interest in shallow attention. You may stop entertaining people who only drain your energy. Conversations that once excited you no longer satisfy your spirit. You begin craving peace more than validation. That is growth. When God is preparing you for Christian marriage, your priorities begin changing. You stop asking, "Who likes me?" and start asking, "Who carries godly character?" You begin caring less about appearance alone and more about spiritual maturity, wisdom, emotional stability, kindness, and purpose. You realize that attraction may start a relationship, but character sustains a marriage. Another sign God may be preparing you for marriage is that He starts removing the wrong people from your life. And honestly, this part hurts. Some relationships end unexpectedly. Some friendships begin fading away. Some people walk out of your life without explanation. At first, it feels painful and confusing. You may even pray desperately for God to restore certain relationships. But later, you realize God was protecting your future. Not everyone assigned to your current season is qualified for your next season. Sometimes we become emotionally attached to people who are spiritually unhealthy for us. We confuse emotional chemistry with divine alignment. But God sees what we cannot see. He sees character problems hidden beneath charm. He sees toxic habits hidden beneath attraction. He sees the future consequences we are blind to in the present. And because He loves you, He sometimes says no to people you desperately wanted. A healthy Christian marriage cannot be built on manipulation, chaos, dishonesty, or spiritual compromise. This is why discernment becomes important. As God prepares you for marriage, He sharpens your spiritual eyes. You become less attracted to confusion and more attracted to consistency. You stop chasing emotionally unavailable people. You stop ignoring red flags simply because someone looks good or says the right words. You begin understanding that peace is a gift from God. Another powerful sign is that your prayer life deepens. You begin spending more time with God, not just because you want something from Him, but because you genuinely desire His presence. Prayer stops becoming a religious routine and starts becoming your lifeline. And in those quiet moments with God, He begins transforming your heart. He teaches you patience. He teaches you forgiveness. He teaches you humility. He teaches you self-control. Because marriage will test every area of your character. A Christian marriage is not sustained by emotions alone. Feelings change. Attraction can fluctuate. Difficult seasons will come. But spiritual foundations are what keep marriages standing during storms. That is why God often develops spiritual discipline before relationship blessings. Some people are praying for marriage while still lacking emotional control. They cannot communicate without anger. They cannot handle correction. They avoid accountability. They carry pride, bitterness, jealousy, and unresolved trauma. But God cares about the kind of spouse you become, not just the kind of spouse you desire. Sometimes we focus so much on finding the one that we forget to become the right person ourselves. Another sign God is preparing you for Christian marriage is that you become more disciplined in your daily life. You begin managing your time better. You become more responsible financially. You start taking your future seriously. Your mindset changes. Your habits change. Your environment changes. Why? Because marriage requires stewardship. Marriage is not just wedding pictures and romantic dates. It involves responsibility, sacrifice, leadership, communication, emotional maturity, and commitment. God prepares people privately before He elevates them publicly. You may also notice that your desire for temporary relationships begins disappearing. You stop wanting casual connections that waste your time and damage your spirit. Your standards become higher, not because you think you are perfect, but because you finally understand your value in Christ. You realize that loneliness is better than being connected to someone who pulls you away from God. Indeed, that revelation changes everything. Another sign God may be preparing you for marriage is that He teaches you patience. This generation hates waiting. People rush relationships. They force connections. They panic when they feel left behind. Social media makes it worse. Everywhere you look, someone is getting engaged, married, or celebrating relationship milestones. And if you are not careful, comparison can make you desperate. But desperation leads people into dangerous relationships. God's timing is different from human timing. Sometimes the delay is not because God forgot you. Sometimes the delay exists because God is protecting you from premature relationships that could damage your destiny. A delayed blessing is often safer than a rushed mistake. Patience develops trust, and trust is necessary for a healthy Christian marriage. You also begin thinking long-term. Your mindset shifts from temporary happiness to eternal purpose. You stop asking shallow questions like, "Are they attractive?" and begin asking deeper questions like, "Can we grow spiritually together? Can we build a peaceful home together? Will this relationship help us serve God together?" Because Christian marriage is not only about personal happiness. It is also about partnership in purpose. When God prepares you for marriage, your vision becomes clearer. You stop idolizing relationships. You stop believing marriage will magically solve all your problems. You realize that only God can complete the empty spaces inside the human heart. Marriage is beautiful, but it was never designed to replace God. And perhaps one of the strongest signs God is preparing you for Christian marriage is that you finally find peace in your waiting season. You no longer feel the need to force love. You stop chasing people who are inconsistent. You stop begging for attention. You stop settling for less than God's best simply because you are tired of waiting. Instead, you begin trusting God even when you do not understand the timing. And that kind of peace is powerful. Because peace means your identity is no longer controlled by relationship status. Whether single or married, your value comes from God. And when two emotionally healthy, spiritually grounded people come together under God's direction, Christian marriage becomes something beautiful. Not perfect, not without challenges, but strong enough to survive storms because its foundation is built on Christ. So if you are in a waiting season right now, do not waste it. Grow in wisdom, heal emotionally, strengthen your relationship with God, learn patience, develop discipline, protect your peace, because one day the preparation season will make sense. And when God finally brings the right person into your life, you will realize He was not delaying your future. He was preparing you for it. If this message touched your heart, subscribe for more Christian relationship teachings, emotional healing content, and biblical wisdom for healthy marriages and godly relationships.